Hi everyone, it's Melissa and welcome back to another installment of Pulp Culture Osmosis. This is a series that I'm doing this year where I read different famous works and then try to predict what will happen in them based on pop cultural references. And I have the day off of work tomorrow for the most part. I have like one meeting I have to go to, but besides that, I've been able to take the day off as part of my birthday week. And so I decided to read something tomorrow that I could conceivably get done in a day. So I've chosen another play and something that I feel like I've seen different places, so that I have like kind of an idea of what might happen. So what I've chosen is not to read this whole thing, but I'm going to read one play out of this. I'm going to read A Streetcar Named Desire by Tennessee Williams. So I've chosen this basically because there are certain lines from this that I think are just out there, reference different places, and also I'm basing my predictions heavily on an episode of The Simpsons called A Streetcar Named Marge, wherein Marge auditions for like a musical adaptation of Streetcar, and she plays Blanche Dubois. So I have, I think, a familiarity with the plot a little bit, but of course, in that episode of The Simpsons, they don't like show you the entire musical, so you just get snippets. So from that, I'm going to try to piece together a few things that I think will happen in the play. So I've written down some predictions, but there are some things that I know for sure. So I know the main character, Blanche, does say, "I have always depended on the kindness of strangers." So this, I think, will inform my opinion a little bit on like what her character will be like. And everyone, I think, knows the line of like, "Stella!" So I know that's going to happen. And I know three of the characters. I know Blanche Dubois is the main character. And I know there's a character called Stella, which I believe is her sister. And then a character called Stanley, which I think is Stella's husband. So Blanche's brother-in-law. So here are my predictions. Prediction number one is that Blanche is going to be like pretty naive, and her naivete is going to place her in danger, and I think specifically danger from Stanley. I think it's pretty clear based on like the references of his character in places that he's abusive. My second prediction is that Blanche will have some affairs. So it seems that Blanche is promiscuous, or maybe that's not the right word, but free, maybe sexually free. And I think that she's going to have some affairs in the run of the play. So prediction three is that Stanley is going to proposition Blanche, but she is going to refuse, which brings me to prediction number four, which is that Blanche will attack Stanley. And this again comes from that episode of The Simpsons where in the musical, like, Marge has to like lunge at Ned Flanders, who is playing Stanley. So I think in the play she's going to attack Stanley. Prediction number five is that Stella finds out. I don't know if it's going to be through Blanche or someone else, but Stella is going to find out. And Blanche will convince her maybe to leave Stanley, or maybe she will decide to leave Stanley, but she will decide to leave Stanley, and that's going to be why Stanley yells out, "Stella, Stella!" Prediction number six is that I don't know if it's going to be through like gaslighting or like fear of his abuse or something, but I think that Stella ultimately is going to decide to stay, like will change her mind, and that Blanche will leave, and that there's going to be kind of like a parting of the sisters in that way at the end. So those are my predictions. I'm going to read Streetcar tomorrow, and we'll see if I'm right. So it's my day off today. I'm going to be reading Streetcar Named Desire. It's already 10 o'clock, but I kind of took a long, luxurious shower this morning. I like tidied my living room so that I had like a nice, clean, relaxing space to read. So I'm going to make myself a breakfast, make a cup of tea, and we're gonna get into Streetcar. Okay, and actually while my tea is steeping and my toast is toasting, I am going to feed the birds because their resources have diminished significantly and it's been really cold and they need the sustenance. So I'm gonna go feed the birds, then I'll get to reading. can't stand Blanche. So, she has a major case of like martyr syndrome. I'm just going to read you this little bit. So she's talking to her sister Stella. She says, "Well, Stella, you're going to reproach me. I know that you're bound to reproach me. But before you do, take into consideration you left. I stayed and struggled. You came to New Orleans and looked out for yourself. I stayed in Belle Reve and tried to hold it together. I'm not meaning this in any reproachful way, but all the burden descended on my shoulders." I guess I just expected, like, Blanche to be the more sympathetic character and for Stella and Stanley to be kind of like tensions in Blanche's life. But Blanche has come into Stella's home. Like, she's a guest there. Like, Stella is putting her up. Like, Stella doesn't even have any room. She's got a kitchen and a bedroom and a bathroom. Like, that's it. So she's got this, like, little fold-out bed thing in the kitchen. And, like, obviously, you know, she's made a space for her sister. And Blanche is just, like, all sorts of rude. And, like, even earlier, Blanche is, like, saying, like, "Oh, like, you've put on a little weight. Oh, it looks good on you, but, like, don't let too much more go onto your hips." And then Blanche, like, stands up and says, like, "Look at me. Like, I haven't put on an ounce since, like, for, like, the last 10 years. Okay, like, good for you." Anyway, Blanche is going to have to redeem herself hardcore during the run of this play because, as of right now, I absolutely cannot stand her. So I might end up being right about Blanche being promiscuous. She's kind of like flirting with one of the men who's over playing poker with Stanley. But she's also like lying to him and telling him that she's younger than Stella when she's really, I think, like 5 years older. So I'm interested to see where this goes because like Stanley is also starting to show some of his like controlling behaviors, and I feel like her getting together with one of his friends is going to end up getting them both in trouble. Well, that escalated quickly. Like, Stanley kept getting angry that they were turning the radio on, and so he, like, went to the radio and tossed it out the window, and then Stella yelled at him that he's drunk and to stop it, and now he's, like, charged after her. So, like, yeah, this guy is bad news. So I'm at the scene where Stanley is yelling Stella, and I wasn't expecting it so soon. I'm only on scene 3, and there are 11 scenes in this play. This is, like, fairly early. I thought this was going to be, like, part of the climax or something, more towards the end of the play, but, like, we did not have to get far into this play to be introduced to, like, the, like, violence, that Stanley perpetrates against Stella. So, yeah, like, Blanche has taken Stella up to the upstairs neighbor woman's flat, and Stanley is, like, trying to yell and get her to come back down. So, yeah, so the tension in this play is quite palpable, and I can only guess that it'll build from here. Stella's, like, nonchalance about what happened, and, like, her excuses for Stanley are making me sad. Yeah, like, I knew there was abuse in this play, but it's impacting me more than I thought it would. And I think Blanche has redeemed herself. She's trying to help her sister, like, trying to convince her to leave, like, trying to show her that this is insanity to stay with this man, that this isn't just him, like, losing his temper, like, that this is serious. Until, like, she really cares for her sister, and Stella is just, like, not having any of it, and saying, like, "Oh, this is typical Blanche, like, making a mountain out of a molehill." So, yeah, Blanche has redeemed herself up until this point, but, like, I still, like, think Stella's gonna still end up with Stanley by the end of this. Like, I don't see a happy ending in sight here. I don't think Blanche is actually promiscuous like I thought. She's just more so unhinged isn't quite the right word. Like, there's a desperation there where she is coming on to, like, some men. She's just basically, like, forced to kiss onto this paperboy, which I now remember that scene from The Simpsons, now that I'm thinking about it. But she's 30 or just over 30, and they've, like, lost their property. And, yeah, she's just acting really desperately. She's going on a date with, like, one of Stanley's friends who it seems like she doesn't even really like, but she's just, I feel like she's, like, just desperate to have someone marry her or take care of her. And then there was another section where I think it was maybe insinuated that she had been doing sex work maybe before. So my opinion of Blanche has changed dramatically, and she's just this, like, unfortunately desperate woman who doesn't really have many options, and who is kind of, like, thrusting herself on these young men, like, hoping to, like, get out of her life situation. Okay, lots of secrets from Blanche's past have been revealed in the last couple of scenes, and I just really like this. I think, like, Blanche is such a complex character. I think I kind of, like, wrote her off really quickly at the beginning, and it's just completely turned around. But she's not just this, like, innocent, naive person like I thought she would be. She's done some, like, questionable things. I want to keep reading, but I have to go pick up my daughter. I'm on scene 8 now, so hopefully I can finish reading this tonight. So I didn't end up reading any more Streetcar yesterday. So now it's the weekend. I'm going to try to get it finished up throughout the weekend, but it's just more difficult to get reading done because my 5-year-old's not at school, so she's going to be wanting a lot of mommy playing with her. But I will try to carve out some time to read it this weekend because I don't want to spend, like, days and days and days reading this. So I'm going to go make myself a breakfast. If my daughter is content playing independently, then I will get a little bit of reading done. So yet another man has, like, I guess hurt Blanche, like, let her down. And I really feel for her. Like, she is a really great complex character because she did bring some of this on herself. Like, she was constantly lying to this guy. But then on the other hand, you can see why she really couldn't be upfront, or that why she felt she had to keep things secret because, like, she wouldn't be accepted otherwise. So I think she feels like she had her hand forced, and she's been having a lot of these, like auditory hallucinations, and, like, you can tell she is just like descending to a place where she's just not with it, you know? So yeah, I feel for poor Blanche. So I had predicted that Stanley would proposition Blanche and that she would, like, attack him. Because I seem to remember something like that in the Simpsons episode, but I forgot the specifics and I've just remembered. And it's, like, a lot more intense and violent than that. Like, my general feeling right now is that, like, I knew this was going to be, like, not a comedy or anything. Like, I knew this was going to be, like, a serious play. Otherwise, parodying it on The Simpsons wouldn't have made sense. Like, the whole reason that episode is funny is because they're taking this serious play and making it into this, like, jovial musical, and it's just ridiculous, right? But I guess I didn't realize, like, just how, like, hard hitting I guess this would be. Like, when I did Hamlet, that was so kind of like over the top and melodramatic. It was fun, but this is like really like difficult to read. It's really good, and I'm enjoying it, but it's not like the lighthearted experience of reading Shakespeare was, even though like Hamlet's a tragedy, like it reads kind of melodramatic and almost like soap opera-y from today's standards, I guess. But this is a very like realistic portrayal of a desperate woman who has been caught in her own lies, who doesn't really have any recourse, who feels trapped and who is like literally trapped and dealing with an abuser, and it's just like, it's a lot. Why are you always climbing on top of me?
I'm trying to sleep.
You can't sleep on top of me.
Someone who makes people born will be dead forever.
Okay, dude, I'm right here. You don't have to scream in my ear. Okay.
It's me and my mama. Hey, boo, coo, coo, coo.
You know what? Listen, you goober. You don't have to scream right in my ear.
But you're so weird, Mama.
Stella has completely betrayed her sister. So this is the end of the video where I share my general thoughts and see how well I did at my predictions. I made 6 predictions. I got 1 right and 1 wrong, and the other ones I feel like I got mostly wrong, but like a little bit right, kind of, sort of. So my first prediction was that Blanche is naive and her naivete is going to like place her in danger, namely from Stanley, and she is placed in danger by Stanley, but I don't feel it's from her naivete, and also I don't feel like her character was really that naive, so I'm gonna say this one is like mostly wrong. My second prediction is that Blanche is promiscuous and will have like numerous affairs during the run of the play, and I would say this is also mostly a miss. So there was kind of like background that she may have been a sex worker, and she was kind of like flirty and was obviously trying to attempt to have a man marry her, but she doesn't really have like numerous affairs during the run of the play. And like, I wouldn't call her promiscuous. I would call her a woman who was doing what she thought she had to do to take care of herself. So I think this one is like 99% wrong. My third prediction was that Stanley was going to proposition Blanche, who was going to refuse him. And I wouldn't call what happened propositioning. Like Stanley assaults her, but like she does refuse his advances initially and then he assaults her. So again, this one is like mostly wrong, but Blanche does refuse Stanley. Prediction number 4 was that Blanche will attack Stanley, and that was the only thing I got right. She does try to attack Stanley in defense. Prediction number 5 was that Blanche will tell Stella that Stanley propositions her, who will then try to leave Stanley, and that's why he yells, "Stella!" This was completely wrong. Blanche does tell Stella, but he wasn't like flirting with her or like propositioning her. Like, that was abuse and assault. And Blanche does tell Stella about that. But Stella does not try to leave Stanley over that, and it's not why he goes and yells Stella. So that one was just like completely wrong. And prediction number 6 was that Stella decides to stay and Blanche leaves. This one was like also mostly wrong, but like kind of right. So Stella does decide to stay with Stanley, but I wouldn't say that Blanche leaves. She's gone by the end of the play, but I don't think that she is giving consent to where she is going or why. Highly recommend this play. I really am so glad that I read it because I thought it was fabulous, but it was definitely a much more difficult read than I was expecting. So those are my thoughts. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you later. Bye.